almost everybody agrees on is not the matchup that happens.
Maybe half of it, but never.
Yeah, it's usually one of the teams that is expected to make it does. Very rarely does it become the 2-1 seeds that everybody expects. Or if the 2-1 seeds do make it, it's because people were down on one of the 1 seeds, I think by the time, even by like the conference finals last year, people were counting the Celtics down because they couldn't seem to close out a series before 7 games. That's why, to me, I'm looking at these two, and I just could not see it being Cleveland, LA, for whatever reason. Why I picked Cleveland? Well, I don't know, for whatever reason. I had a gut feeling that LeBron James would fail him. He hasn't been, so I'm wrong. Granted.
He's been doing as much as he could possibly do.
Yeah, he can. People have argued, and it's seeming very accurate right now, that Orlando is the one team that has Cleveland's number, and it might be true. It might be the fact that winning 66 games make you feel like you're just going to walk into the finals, and the team isn't coming out hungry enough. Am I correct? Isn't Orlando a younger team?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they're very hungry. They want this really bad, maybe more so than the Cavaliers want it. Personally, I felt very confident the Lakers would get to the finals. So I'm the fact that it's 2-2 and it's not like 3-1 Lakers right now is kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, the Lakers are playing. I mean, there's not as much to say about that series. The Lakers are playing, like we said last week, a little more inconsistent.
Yeah.
I will say this: if the Cavs don't make it and they get eliminated in 5 or 6 or 7, and the Lakers advance.
Yeah.
So in essence it would be Lakers Magic. I think the Lakers win the championship.
Yeah, I think it's hard. I think Orlando's probably, it seems to me from just a casual observer, which I'd like to think gives me a bit more clarity, but probably not on this. It seems to me that Orlando is just really matches up really well with Cleveland, but probably doesn't match up so well with the Los Angeles Lakers.
Quite honestly, I don't think they match up that well with the Nuggets. It would be a better matchup, but I think if the Cavs don't make it, the winner from the West wins it all.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the Denver Nuggets as NBA champs?
I think that'd be really funny, and I also think it'd be personally from my standpoint, Orlando-Denver matchup would be just hilarious because it's the opposite of what everybody's been predicting. I have a hard time seeing Denver, getting them. I mean, well, I'm looking at the scores now. I mean, they won by like 19 in Game 4s. I mean, that shows there's life there. It's not like they're not just squeaking by.
But under Phil Jackson, the Lakers have proven to come out crazy strong after a loss, especially a blowout loss. I will say there is a 91% chance the Lakers win tonight's game.
I think this goes 7. I think LA and Denver goes 7.
And you ultimately think the Lakers win Game 7 at home? Yes.
Yeah, I have a hard time seeing them not win. What I do think, though, I think Orlando wins in 6.
So you think Cleveland will win Game 5 and bring some life? And
yeah, and that's at Cleveland too. But I think once you get back on Orlando's home court with the way they're playing and the way that I think to a certain extent, Orlando is in the heads of the Cavaliers.
So what you're saying is Lakers Magic,
and Lakers in 5.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have said the Lakers in 6.
Something about Orlando besides, I think they're a cohesive, we were talking to Jamie around here about the Blackhawks earlier and how I said they seem to be a team that's better as a cohesive unit than they are individually. That's what the Orlando Magic is to me. They're a unit, The problem is that in basketball, it's the superstar sidekick theory, like I also mentioned earlier to Jamie, which was that every NBA team needs a superstar and a sidekick. And LA has that. Orlando doesn't. LA wins, and LA wins easily.
We'll see.
And I'm not a prophet. I'll probably be wrong.
Yeah. How we doing on time? We wanna.
Oh, we've got enough. Let's just take a quick peek at NHL playoffs, and then I think it's top 5 this time.
Yeah. Well, the Penguins swept. That series is done.
Yeah, and it's almost. Blackhawks are on the verge. They squeaked one game in overtime. Like I said a couple weeks ago, if Chicago ends up playing Detroit, they're not going to win.
I don't know how many, and I'm just going to bluntly say this, I'm sorry for all the Chicago fans. I don't know how many games it might go, but the Red Wings are advancing. I will confidently say that.
Oh, well, Game 5 is tonight, and I think it ends tonight.
Yeah.
So,
quite honestly, the most noteworthy thing of all this is that it's the same matchup as last year. We talked about that last week. It's very interesting to me.
That's interesting. I hope that the Penguins can make a better series of it this time. I might actually be interested. Otherwise, again, we say this all the time. I have a hard time just being interested. I was saying about the Penguins Capitals matchup that sounds really great on paper. I never watched a game, so I mean, I'm now knowing what happened last year. What interests me, if we get to Game 7, I'd watch just because I want to see Sid the Kid get a championship. You know, because if this is Gretzky version 2.0, he start winning titles. You know.
Yeah, I think Sidney Crosby and the Penguins are a very good thing for hockey, and I would like to, what I don't want to see is, if it's going to be the same matchup, I'm okay with that. I want to see something a little different. I would love to see the Penguins win.
If the Penguins win, then it makes it worth it, I think. If they lose again, it's just the Red Wings again winning the Stanley Cup.
I say this, though, which, of course, let's give Chicago a chance, but as it looks, it's going to be the Red Wings and the Penguins.
It would be a ridiculously tough, they'd have to win out now.
I could see that Penguins, that Penguins Red Wings series going 6 or 7.
Maybe. I hope so. I hope for hockey's sake.
So, but it's been a pretty good postseason for hockey. And
I think it's
basketball.
improved a lot, and I think basketball especially has really gotten a lot of attention right now, and they've deserved it, especially with that first round matchup, Celtics and Bulls. That was just fantastic. Even gotten me interested. I don't watch basketball at all.
Yeah.
And then watching the Rockets take the Lakers to 7 games, nobody saw that coming.
Yeah.
And I was actually really thrilled to see that. I'm not gonna lie, rooting for Houston. I thought it'd be more interesting to see Houston Rockets get up there.
Yeah. So what's interesting is this past weekend in baseball, past weekend, it was interleague play where the National League plays the American League and vice versa.
Yes, sir.
And not every city had, or every big rivalry met this weekend, but they had a lot of them. They had the Twins they had Milwaukee and Minnesota, the Twins and the Brewers. They had the LA teams. They had the Washington teams, and so it got me thinking. Because interleague play is also coming up again in a few weeks, it got me thinking about interesting rivalries in sports,
right?
And different rivalries, and so I thought it would be good this week.
Just so I'm clear, all time, right? Not just like current rivalries.
Oh, I did current, but
okay. Well, I interpreted it as all time. Okay, so we're gonna have wildly different lists.
Yeah,
then.
Well, it's cool. But what we're gonna do this week?
I should have asked before I made my list.
What we're gonna do this week is we're gonna do the top 5. I want you to tell me your top 5 best sports rivalries of all time. We'll do.
I'm doing all time, but we'll just make sure people understand that. So, because if I'm sure now that if we look at yours, thinking all time, you're not going to look very good because you probably didn't pick stuff from
because I did current. Well, maybe that makes it more interesting. Actually, you did all time, and it'll be interesting to see if there's any that are on the same list.
There might be. Because there's some that are ongoing. There's the never-ending rivalries.
So, okay, your number 5.
Number 5 actually is a current one, just because I think it's really interesting. I think if I watched this sport, I would be highly interested. But I think it's a really great rivalry. I was reading a great Sports Illustrated article on this rivalry the other day, which was in tennis. It's Roger Federer versus Rafael Nadal, and I think it's fascinating. They had this guy Federer who was, for a while considered to be like the Michael Jordan of his sport, and now you got this kid coming in who's now taking him like everywhere. It's amazing to me. I'm fascinated by it on a purely, social level, not on a sports level.
Yeah. My number 5 is definitely a current one. It would definitely not be on the all-time list.
Oh yeah.
And it's in the NL East. It's the Phillies and the Mets. Have you heard anything about this rivalry? It's ugly.
Okay.
They do not like each other. This is
bench clearing brawls.
This is especially over the last couple of years with the Mets collapsing. There's been a lot of trash talking. They do not like each other. There's been a lot of beanballs. It's just an ugly series, and I love when they play each other. So it's on my list definitely.
Oh, I can understand that.
But can you see where it would not be on the all-time list?
Well, and you understand too is that like with two sports teams, when it gets one-sided, it could be an all-time rivalry. But I was just pointing out, I was reading the Wikipedia page on the Chiefs-Raiders rivalry, and there was a point for like 5 years where the Chiefs won every single game, and that makes it not a very good rivalry because one team is just destroying the other one, whereas there's right now apparently Mets-Phillies is a really hot series going, or they're really fierce rivals right now. Just as like I almost say in the NFL, Colts and Patriots. As long as they're like trading off wins, it's a good rivalry. Once it becomes dominant, it's not a good rivalry anymore. Got my number 4 now.
Yeah,
I kind of went off on a tangent. Number 4 is an old school rivalry, and to me, this is probably the best NASCAR rivalry, which I know you're going to